Hello and welcome to Pointed Logic Tarot. Buckle up, get yourself a beverage. We talk a lot in the tarot community about AI tarot decks and AI slop and is AI art or not. And I wanted to get to the science behind that and share with you the real physical impacts that are happening to communities right now. When I talk about AI, I'm speaking about generative AI. In my work, I do a lot of research on data centers and on AI and on fossil fuels and impacts to communities. So I made a presentation for work and modified it to share with you all on TAROTTUBE to get folks better informed. We're going to then look at Etsy and Kickstarter to sort of get a lay of the land, then finish out the presentation. Throughout the video, I'm going to have references, resources, and links. It'll all be in the description, videos, things that are reading, scientific research studies, articles, news, the generative AI images that you're seeing on Kickstarter, Etsy, and other places is just the tip of the iceberg. So, generative AI. This is a term to describe large language models. Large language models are not intelligence. They are a type of algorithmic model regurgitating information and rephrasing it into various summaries. Ethity, in her recent video about AI, called it a Google blender because it's only as good as the information it digests and spits back out to you. It's a very energy-intensive model that requires specific graphics cards that run hot. They need a ton of servers and need a lot of electricity and create a lot of heat, use a lot of water. And these data centers are nothing like the data centers we have for everything else in our internet and cell phone use. I live in Pennsylvania, and because I'm researching this for work, the reference point is going to be Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the second largest exporter of oil and gas in the country of the United States, second to Texas. We have a lot of fracking here in the state. We have seen a huge emphasis on the oil and gas infrastructure that would be needed to power these data centers for generative AI. You will hear terms about energy crises, the rising energy costs, and the need for more electricity. This is an artificial crisis. This is a manufactured crisis. We have more and more renewable technology coming online. And when I say renewable, I am talking about solar and wind and some water power. I do not mean nuclear. I do not mean natural gas, which people sometimes say is a green technology. And I do not mean hydrogen. 95% of proposed solar and wind projects are cheaper to build than oil and gas infrastructure. We are seeing many corporations and the political interests that are part of that pushing oil and gas, and AI is contributing to war, to all of this increased oil and gas infrastructure proposed across the country, and in my case, Pennsylvania. So there's the health risks of fracking, the health risks of gas-fired power plants. There's also turbines that are used with these data centers, but they're not like a backup generator that you might think of when the power goes out and you have it hooked up to your house and it kicks on. One of these generators is the size of like a semi-truck's tractor-trailer box. They want 25, 50, 100, in some cases 500 for one data center campus. Archbald, Pennsylvania, which is one of the hot spots, and it's made the news quite a bit. They have 6 proposed hyperscale data centers for the one town because of a very unethical zoning overlay that was put in place by their previous borough council. And those folks are facing upwards of 1,300 proposed semi-truck sized diesel generators in their community with all of the noise and the emissions and the water usage. The example of this image here is a story from Memphis. This is a 2025 article. There was a data center built recently. The data center was not honestly reporting the turbines they had at that location. They, I think, only reported 14 turbines or so. The community discovered they were using 35.
And these were gas turbines. Diesel turbines are even more polluting. But there were 35 portable, because they can be moved with a truck, methane gas turbines running it because it wasn't connected to the grid at the time. It was just creating all this pollutants. By 2028, which is just around the corner, data centers could contribute to as many as 600,000 additional asthma cases a year and 1,300 premature deaths from the condition. You have other health impacts. So data centers are very noisy. There's also infranoise, which is the vibrations that can physically affect your body. And then there's the air and water quality concerns, both pollution into your drinking water sources and just the loss of your drinking water sources. There's a ginormous data center project being built in Louisiana by Facebook. They've had over a 200% increase in traffic accidents because of the truck drivers and the trucks causing a lot of hazards on their roads. They also, once they're up and running, create a heat island effect that's extremely significant and may, in the future, impact over 300 million people. The heat island effects from this recent paper that came out could raise temperature up to 6 miles away from them. There's also the stress. The hyperscale data centers are fairly new, right? They're not like small data centers that we use for our general internet needs. We have a ton of really good information on gas and diesel and the pollution from fracking and the pollution from generators. This is a little bit newer, but those things are coming out now from hotspots of data centers such as Virginia, which is known as Data Center Alley. Risks to your circulatory system, such as your heart health and your blood vessels from the vibrations. There's anecdotal information of pet deaths from the vibrations in Virginia, and anecdotal reports from community members who say they have to sleep in their basements to escape the noise. We're gonna go back and talk a little bit more about gas-fired power plants. This is an image of a gas-fired power plant. This is actually one up near the data center hotspot I was mentioning that's being proposed for Archbald in that area. This is the Lackawanna Energy Center. Estimates show through 2030 at least, data centers will be powered by gas. So all of those health implications, they're forecast from gas-fired power plants. So you'll have air and water pollution and air and water impacts on water usage from the data centers themselves, and then from their power sources such as this gas-fired power plant, and then from development of the fuel such as fracking and all of the pollution and the radiation and the impacts from the infrastructure to drill and remove the gas and then transport it to that power plant. All of that will increase because of the hyperscale data centers, which are being proposed because of generative AI. Particulate matter is in particular a risk to your respiratory system, cardiovascular system, as well as your neurological health. Lung inflammation, asthma like we've mentioned, heartbeat issues, heart attacks, many rare cancers that are linked to fracking, particulate matter, and fossil fuel pollution. There's also the impacts to babies and fertility, adverse birth outcomes, preterm births, low birth weight, infertility issues that have been linked back to fossil fuel pollution. Volatile organic compounds, nitrogen oxides, and sulfur dioxides, colloquially known as VOx, NOx, and SOx, also contribute to similar health impacts. And again, you're going to get particulate matter, you're going to get water pollution, you're going to get additional air pollution. They will compound and create hotspots for asthma, cancer, and other health problems. Let's talk about water. This is the United States. This is a projection for data center water consumption. And you can see the difference in just 4 years because of the hyperscale data centers that are proposed. The direct use that is the majority of the water usage from the data center itself is liquid cooling to cool the servers, which are generating a lot of heat from the graphics intensive large language models that they are running for generative AI. Then the indirect use is the water for electricity generation. Water consumption could exceed 2 to 4 times the 2023 level, almost entirely because of generative AI, which again is not intelligence, artificial or otherwise. Data centers need potable water, water that is recycled, recirculated, reclaimed, effluent, treated. Seawater or other non-potable waters is hard on their equipment. It degrades them. They need the same aquifers, reservoirs, and well water and groundwater that we need to drink. They want your drinking water. One of the proposed facilities that I have been working to stop could use in the warmer months upwards of 3 million gallons of water a day. This orange or reddish color is the on-site portion. What you don't often see is this blue portion, which is from the electricity generation. And again, that's nuclear power, coal-fired power, gas-fired power. A 100-word generated email from ChatGPT is on average 500 milliliters or more than a plastic bottle of water. The electric power sector in the United States used 47.5 trillion gallons of water in 2020. From that number, you can get almost 12,000 gallons of water for 1 megawatt of electricity produced. The more you use fossil fuel type power generating sources, the more water you use. Renewables use so much less water, it's astonishing. So we're going to circle back to generative AI now. When you think of a data center, and people say, oh, well, if you like online shopping, or if you use a cell phone, or use the internet, you're the reason for these data centers. That's just a gaslighting statement. Generative AI uses 200 times the power that your typical internet usage uses, even streaming. You can get by with the data centers that are built right in a town, office building sized, fairly quiet. They already exist. You already live around them. You can have the office that has the employees for running whatever cell phone provider right in the same building. It's nothing like these hyperscale, industrial level, generative AI facilities. And again, when I say AI, I'm talking about large language models. AI is this umbrella term being used for so much, and because it's a buzzword right now, many different technologies are claiming, I have an AI whatever. Is it generating content? ChatGPT, for example. Anything from OpenAI, Google's Gemini, Claude, and then of course the image generating things. DALL-E was one of the first. Midjourney, one that you'll hear a lot when people talk about tarot decks and generating the images for those. AI is poised to drive 160% increase in the power demand for data centers. Like I said, this is a manufactured crisis. This is a technology being forced onto many people. Beyond the health implications, beyond the environmental massive water use, the trees they're cutting down to build these things. There's been massive layoffs so that companies can make room for AI and developing or funding data center creation. I will link in the description box sources on the AI bubble that people are talking about, similar to the housing bubble that caused the housing crisis back in 2008, I believe. So there's automation spurred job loss. Problematic deepfakes. A deepfake is where somebody real has their face superimposed on something fake. There's privacy violations. If you use Google or Gmail or Google Calendar, recently they announced that they are scraping everything. Scraping your photos, scraping your email messages, your chat, and automatically opting you into training their Gemini AI on everything that you have, all of your personal information in your emails. You have to go in and opt out. Then, of course, there's copyright infringement, which is the one that a lot of folks talk about in the tarot space and the art space. Not only is it stolen art to make an image, it's also taking that profit away from real artists. So you're stealing art, but then you're also producing and selling something that competes with real art. Books, decks, blog posts, generated images that people have tweaked, and then they're like, oh, it was AI assisted. If you can't afford to pay an artist or take the time to learn to do the thing, it's not a project that's meant to be. There's racist surveillance. So the algorithms that do surveillance are racist by default because of them being developed in the white supremacist structure and framework that we have. The algorithm themselves makes racial biased choices when it's surveilling. They've even been using AI in court cases and court rulings, which is just appalling. And then you may have heard wars being started by fascists for oil and gas, and then them claiming when there's some horrible war crime committed on a community. Oh, that was AI's fault. So weapons automation and having AI make the decisions on killing people. Let's just take a look at some of this AI slop. So I just pulled up Kickstarter and searched tarot. Before you get very far, you can see AI. They are supposed to disclose if it's AI generated or not. This one doesn't say it is. And folks have been lying quite a bit. What do we think, people? This one is atrocious that they even dare call something solar punk that's AI generated, because that's the antithesis of solar punk. See, AI. 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 It's just absolutely flooding these things. AI. Something I did a while back, not current. I went through and clicked on every active Kickstarter tarot project and Oracle project. I counted the total, and then I counted which ones had disclosed AI. I didn't even count the ones where they could be lying or not. Upwards of 33% were AI generated. That's a lot of extra to sift through. You can see a lot of them are funding. Now let's look at Etsy. I just did this tally before making this video. This one is a little more subjective because they don't disclose on Etsy, although if you click on them, some of them say it. So this one's AI, this one's AI, this one's AI. This one doesn't disclose, but it looks AI to me. AI. This one's AI. Not this one. This one is not. This one next to it, Painted in Love, that's AI. I don't know about this bunny one. This one's definitely AI. This one looks like it could be AI. This alchemist heart could be. This one certainly is. This one is. So there's 38 listings here. 12 of them were certainly AI. There's other iffy ones, but just counting the 12, that's 31%. You're having, nearly a third in tarot at least, just polluting the space that you have to sift through. And it's making it harder in general to find art by real artists. I've seen hashtag human made in a lot of places. I don't think there's an appropriate excuse. Like, oh, I don't have the skill without AI. Well, then you don't have the skill. It's dangerous with AI because folks get comfortable using it. I didn't even get into AI convincing people and people getting delusions because the AI is encouraging them. It will make up sources and tell you what you want to hear. And that's really appealing to people. It feels like, to me, the devil card, where you pull that card and it's this temptation to use something that creates something for you. But if it's not accurate or good, it shouldn't be there. And it weakens you in a way because you are then dependent on that thing. When you look at the devil card in the context of liberation and freedom, you need to liberate yourself from these tools. You didn't need them a few years ago, and don't depend on them now. That will lock you into a cycle of losing your critical thinking skills and not growing and learning and trying to improve. Now let's talk about pay for it now, pay for it later. This is an example in Southwest Pennsylvania, a proposed power plant. And per kilowatt hour, it's over $2,000, making it one of the most expensive power plants in the country. It's the second largest proposed gas-fired power plant for an AI hyperscale data center. It would just pollute that whole community. This graph is showing the estimated electricity from data centers. And as you can see, there's a very wide range to the future scenario, 6% to 12%. So there's way more data centers proposed right now than will actually be built. And that's intentional by the developers because they're just throwing as many as they can and seeing what sticks, what can get built, what Some of them they know aren't going to make it because of community opposition or other issues with the projects. I want to show an example of an electric bill. This is a community member in Pennsylvania. Their electricity usage in January 2026 was down 11% from the previous year. And the average cost of their electricity was up 76%. They went from paying $12 per day in 2025 to $22 in 2026. And they used less electricity. Look at the size of this bill. This electric company had the gall to put out in that same month, winter bills straining your budget? We have resources to help. Check out our seasonal saving solutions. But if you're cutting down on electricity, so for example, this person used 10% less, 11%, but their bill went up 76%. Like, what are they supposed to do? There's 42 comments. They're all like this. I don't know what to do. My bill is extremely high. I can't afford it. I've lived here for 16 years. Why are the prices increasing so much? This bill is ridiculous. This bill is outrageous. I can't scrape enough money to pay my bills. There was not a single positive message on that article, and it was an extremely, in my opinion, tone-deaf post for the company to make, but they're trying to make it look like they're doing something. Fossil fuel projects are really expensive to build. 91% of renewable projects are cheaper than fossil fuel alternatives. One of the issues that we're seeing is the grid. So there's grids regionally in the US at least. And one of the regional grids in this corner of the country in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic is called PJM. And they have an auction they do every year to purchase the expected electricity for the following year from the electricity providers. It's been increasing annually by billions of dollars because they're estimating what electricity they'll need based on the amount of applications they get for new connections to their grid. And all of these data centers are a major contributor. People's electricity bills are going up now for data centers that haven't even been built yet. So that's the supply portion. They're also going to put on those ratepayers the cost of that infrastructure that they need to build to connect to the data centers. So the additional transmission lines over here under transmission upgrades, $4.3 billion in 2024 was paid out by ratepayers for data center customers. $500 million alone of that was Pennsylvania. So all the community members are paying in their electric bills. So you see here, there's a supply fee, and then here's the delivery fee. The delivery fee, they bump that up to charge for the transmission upgrades. And then states like Pennsylvania are offering tax breaks to the data centers to try and entice them to come here. So the data center tax breaks created to boost the economy and add jobs could actually cost the state billions in revenue. This was a story that came out in February this year that talks about the existing tax break in the state that was put in place in 2021 and how it's already costing millions a year in revenue. That's the data center piece. The fossil fuel piece, fossil fuel industry benefits from $760 billion annually from subsidies, tax breaks, and other discounts. So you are giving them money through your electricity bills, through your taxes, to poison you with air and water pollution and radiation. What can we do to deal with all of this? First off, if you sell AI-generated material, take it down. Don't produce and use those tools. But it's not really on the consumer, is it? It's on the corporations. So we need to go after Amazon, who is one of the #1 data center players in Pennsylvania, Microsoft, who is the only customer for 3 Mile Island, a radioactive nuclear facility that had the worst meltdown in United States history. They turned it back on just for Microsoft's AI. That's also in Pennsylvania. Facebook, Meta, whatever, all of them, they're really bad in the Southwest and the South. They've been already building a bunch of these and harming many communities. More Perfect Union is a really great YouTube page for you to look into some of those where they interview the communities impacted. I'll link some stuff in the description for that. And then Google. Those 4 companies all showed up to the Public Utility Commission in Pennsylvania when they had a hearing last year to say, hey, let's talk about data centers. And then all of those trolls came and were like, we need them, and here's why, and jobs and the economy. It's for their profits, their surveillance, their ability to make money off of us. It doesn't benefit us. So don't engage with their AI products. Don't shop on Amazon if you can help it. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism in the system in which we are in, but you can make an effort to fight and to abstain from participating where you can. And that means don't buy AI tarot decks. And if you've bought one, either on purpose or by mistake, don't feature it on your channel. Don't put pictures of it online. Don't show it to others and say, oh, this was a great one, you should get it. No, it's garbage. It's tainted by all of this pollution. The fossil fuel corporations and AI corporations are hand in hand here, trying to make money off us. Every different version that they can, from our taxes, from our electricity, from our online shopping, and just from our data, from our privacy. And they're selling that. We're the commodity. We're out here working in service of AI to create. I don't think that's how it's supposed to work. I'm pretty sure we're the ones supposed to be doing art and AI is the one supposed to be doing the chores. So just opt out of large language model and generative AI technologies. But what can we do to stop a data center proposed in your community? Go to your local township/borough/city council meetings. I don't know, it's labeled different things depending on where you live. We have all of those in Pennsylvania and more. But you can have the strongest, most powerful impact locally. Go hyper local. Shop as locally as you can, but also make your voice heard as locally as you can. Go to your local meetings. Look up your public notices. They are required to post in their local papers and online notices about we're going to change the zoning to allow a data center, or we're going to do X, Y, and Z and cut down all these trees. You are supposed to be told ahead of time that that's happening so that you have a say and you can try and stop it if you disagree with it. You should file Freedom of Information Act or right to know requests for documents. You should demand a risk/benefit analysis on health, on money, on the impacts to the community. Ask for an environmental assessment when there's things proposed like this. Share information with others and try and find groups online, social media, or offline, in person. I'm a big proponent for offline. Use these online tools to organize, but don't use generative AI to make your stuff. Don't be like generating your posters and say, stop data centers with generative AI. Ask your township supervisors or your borough council members or your city council members questions about this. I will share in the description a toolkit on how to get started with this. I will also share model ordinances that you can propose. So even if you don't have a data center proposed in your community, you can pass an ordinance that would regulate the size of them so you don't have these nasty hyperscale ones coming in. And then if you have, zoning boards, environmental boards, get appointed to them. Participate in this. You could run for a local office. I'm all for putting pressure on my local officials to protect the communities that I care about, to stop as many of these things from being built. Videos that I recommend you watch, I'll tag them. I'll say 3. Recently back on the scene is Mayfield with Scholarbot Tarot. Mayfield talks about why generative AI is just a non-starter. Ethany put out a video and it's her perspective on how she's feeling about it as an artist herself, as a creative, as a tarot reader and a tarot maker. Ina at Taproot Tarot recently did one sort of breaking down, detecting AI, and generated AI in books and written form, which is harder for me. I have had a lot of practice seeing it from generated art. I have a pretty good nose for it where I'm like, this looks AI generated, and then I'll go do some reading or digging and I'll be like, oh, yep. I know some other folks who are authors or who work with more written material and they are much better at just seeing it in the patterns of how it's written. But it's a shame that AI literacy and being able to identify it is something we're now being faced with and have to sort out. Out of everything that I'm going to put in the description, the thing at the top is its open season on hating AI. It talks about why folks are becoming so much more outwardly opposed to it and the implications it has in the creative space to both the creative livelihoods as well as intellectual property and trust and how trust is eroded. So I hope you enjoyed that presentation. And like I said, everything is in the description down below. Please take a look at the resources. Please don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments. Send me an email if you need. My email is in the description. If you're facing a data center in your community and you want some resources on where to get started, please let me know and I can help you all with that. Be safe out there and focus on the human art. For humanity's sake,
for tarot's sake, focus on all of the beautiful human-made art out there in the world and human creators. Shop handmade, shop local, support your local artist, support human artists in general. Don't let the AI generated images come in and pollute your tarot collection. I want to shout out Sarah at Tangy Tarot. She's helping me edit this video and also got me this adorable little mug. I wanted to send a thank you her way. Thanks so much and take care.